But I think everybody has that capacity to stop and think and say, if I knew you, I wouldn't eat you. And in some ways, it really is that simple.
Hey, Earthlings, how are you doing? It's sometimes impossible to avoid movement politics. Someone contacted me to kind of almost like suggest that Earthlings is kind of copyright Earthling Ed. Well, kind of no, in the sense that the Earthlings experience was before Earthling Ed, and also I used to open my lectures at university by saying to students, "Hello, Earthlings," so I just do it here. That was before Earthling Ed as well. So that was Tom Regan. I thought it'd be good to present some clips from Regan that you might not be familiar with, and these are from a 1998 film called A Cow at My Table. I'll put a link to the main film. It's not really an animal rights film in the sense that singers there and quite a lot of welfare claims and everything else are in there, but it will infuriate you. The producers and the animal use representatives will really infuriate you in this one if you want to watch it. It is quite graphic, so there is that. So I picked out the Regan bits. That was the first one. Before we kind of get onto that, you're probably familiar with this though from Regan, one of his quintessential statements about animal rights.
The other animals humans eat, use in science, hunt, trap, and exploit in a variety of other ways have a life of their own that is of importance to them apart from their utility to us. They are not only in the world, they are aware of it and also of what happens to them. And what happens to them matters to them. Each has a life that fares experientially better or worse for the one whose life it is. Like us, they bring a unified psychological presence to the world. Like us, they are somebodies, not some things.
So that's from Reagan's famous 1989 speech at the British Institute about whether other animals need a Bill of Rights. He basically, talking about that thing about that other animals are some ones and not some things. So here's the kind of a cow at my table version of that.
The animals who are raised for food have had their biography ended. They had a life story. They were a somebody in the world rather than a something in the world. And their story was unfolding, and we terminated it.
Okay, let's get on to rights then. So Tom Regan is the author of The Case for Animal Rights, 1983. He's the originator of rights-based animal rights theory. It's very groundbreaking, that book, and highly recommended, but perhaps you should read Defending Animal Rights from 2001 first, because that's an easier read. The case is quite philosophically dense. What Regan is claiming is that other animals have rights, and we're talking about moral rights, not legal rights. And as you can see in this clip, we're not talking about positive rights, we're talking about negative rights.
The important idea for the purposes of the animal rights movement is the idea of what philosophers call a negative right. This is a right of non-interference, non-invasion, non-harm. And what the animal rights people are really trying to do, what we're trying to say, is that the arguments are in place, they're there, they're compelling, they're persuasive, that make the case that these rights extend to other animals.
With the focus on negative rights, but also this extensionist idea that animal rights is an extension of human rights thinking. Regan made that important point in the case that the animal rights movement was a part of and not opposed to the human rights movement, something that modern day animal activists try to resist, but it is the case. Animal rights is an extension of some parts of human rights thinking. Okay, now we're going to move on to the property status now in the next clip. This is very important. If you're an item of property and you're against, as it were, the property owner, it puts you at a very serious disadvantage. So the property status of other animals is a very important part of our fight for animal rights.
So I think that we should think of the relationship behind the scenes, as it were, between humans and other animals, is that every day anyone is a party to the death of an animal. It's an exercise in human power over property, over a thing.
This next clip is very important in my view. It's about humane slaughter and that being an oxymoron. And Regan says that it's not the case. For example, humane slaughter is not the case, but it doesn't matter. If it were the case, it would still be a rights violation. This is something that the animal movement is not good at the moment. We still have this focus on cruelty and suffering, and whether a farm is living up to its RSPCA standards, that kind of thing. That's all irrelevant from an animal rights point of view.
The idea of humane slaughter is like an oxymoron to me. It's like military intelligence, you know. I mean, the two ideas don't go together very well. But even if there was, by some wild invention, some way of killing animals without causing them pain, still wouldn't justify killing them.
This next clip is about social culture, so it's very sociological in nature, which is very nice. There is a little bit ableist language here, so you'll have to forgive that. People are a product of their time and all that. But the point stands, and it's an important point as well.
Our culture blinds us to seeing things that, if you were from, for example, India, you wouldn't eat cow. What we think is normal in terms of when it comes to what we eat is a cultural construct, a social construct, which society encourages us and reinforces us to accept.
So we're at the final clip, and essentially Regan is talking about the battle ahead, the struggle, the praxis, whatever you want to call it, the idea that we are a social movement fighting for something, and that means that we will be opposed. There will be some people who are pro-speciesist, they will be pro-rights violations against other animals, and they are, in a sense, lined up against us.
Part of what is at stake here, obviously, is power and wealth and property, and anything that threatens that is something that we're going to try to, those who have the power are going to try to prevent from threatening them.
So there you go. That's a whistle-stop tour of all the Regan clips from A Cow at My Table. I've put the link below, as I said. I'll see you again, Earthlings. Take care.